Hello everyone, back to today's third video. Going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days for today's third video. This takes us more or less to the end of July now. We go to, not quite to the final day of the month, but getting very close to it. So it looks like we're going to be seeing the weather warming up next week. There is the chance of a hot start to the coming week, but it perhaps cools down for a day or two before the temperatures maybe pick up again in the second half of next week. And that could be our hottest phase of the summer so far. It's already been a very warm to hot summer, though, you have to say. Been a really hot and dry summer so far, but the hottest weather could still be to come for this summer. I'll get on with the week to 10 day update for you in a moment, but just to say that today's first two videos, so we did Stormwatch start off with, there is a risk of some hit and miss thunderstorms later on this afternoon and this evening, and that's particularly in the sort of southeastern swathe of the country. Also had a look at the month ahead with JMA Friday. As always on a Friday we did our month ahead look ahead, so you can find that video here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit and you'll find it above the pollen count. Looks like the heat wave set to go on and on. So have a look at JMA Friday and see what you think. So we'll get on with your week to 10 day update now, and we can see that with a radar picture from the weather outlook, that's where we'll start. Have got some rain across northern parts of England, so we haven't had much rain at all this summer. In fact, some places have recorded no measurable rain since back at the end of May. So we have got some rain today, though. We haven't been using radar picture much in the videos in the past few weeks, but there is rain through Wales and northern England, also going to southeastern parts of Scotland too. You see some quite bright colours in there as well, so some quite heavy bursts of rain across northern England and Wales in particular. It's mainly dry through most of southwest England, through the Midlands into East England, and it's really in sort of an arc around here that we're likely to see the risk of thunderstorms. We have got this rain down in the far southeast, but that's not producing thunderstorms. So it's in this sort of arc just here. Don't take the area too literally, but in this sort of arc just here, we may see some heavy showers and thunderstorms breaking out later on this afternoon and into this evening. They're very hit and miss, so within that area, a lot of places will miss some and stay dry. But if you do get, well, you may get over an inch of rain. As this more general rain moves down the western side of the country, that'll be lingering away into the evening as well. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. We're looking at London today. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. So we can see that we're warmer than average at the moment. It's a warm and humid day coming up, and those temperatures will be picking up through towards the end of the week and the weekend. So around Monday, we could well be up to around 32 degrees in the southeast. That's around 90 Fahrenheit. Possibly it dips down a little bit through Tuesday and Wednesday, and then starting to pick up again towards the end of next week, again going back into the low to maybe mid-30s Celsius. There is a little bit of uncertainty about how hot it's going to get next week, with the GFS particularly changing from run to run. Some of the GFS runs are very hot at the moment, others, and we've got a cooler one to include in this video, the 6 o'clock run of BGFS was actually a little bit cooler. So changing from run to run, it's still uncertain how hot it's getting next week, but it's certainly going to be a very warm to hot week, and potentially it gets very hot indeed. And throughout really the white line here, which is the ensemble mean, that's warmer than average from beginning to end through the ensemble, so there's no sign of anything particularly cool coming up at all. As far as precipitation is concerned, so not much rainfall, but there are rainfall spikes appearing, and those are probably produced by showers mainly, or perhaps thunderstorms. I'm going to go into the early part of August. It perhaps turns a little bit wetter here through this first week of August, although that's right, the extended range of the ensemble, and it's unreliable. I think over time we're going to keep the weather, the temperature very warm to hot, but possibly begin to turn the atmosphere more sort of unstable, which perhaps brings a greater risk of storms as we go to the end of July and into August. That's all covered by JMA Friday, which does look very warm, very hot, but increasingly volatile weather could be on the way for August. These are the service temperatures in London. These undercooked the temperatures by a few degrees. Remember, so today, for example, it's suggesting a maximum in London of just under 20 degrees. Actually, we're much more up here into the mid to upper 20s Celsius today. So we see this warming trend through the weekend and into next week. It's going up towards 30 degrees Celsius through the course of next week. Bear in mind, undercooking the temperatures actually probably going above 30 degrees Celsius really through the course of next week. And staying very warm to hot really from beginning to end. There's no sign of anything particularly cool coming up. Certainly not before August, and probably not even into August either. Temperature anomalies, it's rinse and repeat for these, so again it's another warmer than average temperature anomaly for the next week. From the 20th of July to the 28th we are covered in those red colours, not just the UK and Ireland but for all parts of Europe as well. The European landmass is very hot in the week ahead, the UK and Ireland included in that. As far as precipitation anomalies are concerned, from the 20th to 28th of July, England and Wales coming out drier than average. It does go a little bit wetter than average though for Scotland all night, so a little bit more rain to come there, but overall it remains a dry scene for the week ahead. So this is the GFS for Monday, when we've got this ridge in across England and Wales. Hot air under that ridge could lift temperatures to 32, maybe 33 degrees in the southeast. That's around 92 Fahrenheit on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday brings some cooler air in from the northwest, particularly to the north and west. The southeast is just about hanging on, so it's very warm temperatures. But I think most of us do cool down by a few degrees Tuesday to Wednesday, and there could be some showers in the north and the west as well. Then on Thursday we start to get this ridge beginning to re-establish over the country. That starts to pull, Thursday I should say, starts to pull this hotter air up from the south. And so as we go through to Friday, we've got this high pressure centred over to the east of the UK with low pressure to the west. Now this is where the uncertainty is creeping in. We've got this ridge here to the east of the country at the end of next week. We've got the low pressure out to the west. If this low pressure rolls in quickly, then it will move the hottest of the air away very quickly. Remember, between the low pressure in the Atlantic and the high pressure to the east, because of the way the wind flows around high pressure, low pressure in the northern hemisphere, we'll be bringing the air up from the south. So we're pulling up hotter air out of North Africa and the Mediterranean at the second half of next week. It's just how quickly this low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic. If the low pressure comes in quickly, then it will push those hot temperatures away to the east quite quickly. And that's what's happening on this particular GFS run. However, other model runs are stalling this low pressure in the middle of the Atlantic around there, and have the ridge stronger over to the east of the country. If that happens, we get several days of hot, increasingly hot, southerly winds. And so that's where this real heat wave could come from for the final days of July. At the moment, it's on a little bit of a knife issue. We'll be very warm to hot next week, but we're just uncertain about exactly how hot it's going to get. It is changing from run to run with the GFS at the moment. There's the upper air temperatures for Friday. You see some very hot air is just to our south and southeast, but actually it's this slightly fresher air coming in from off the Atlantic that's keeping that at bay. So as we go into the weekend of 28th, 29th of July, which could potentially be an exceptionally hot weekend, potentially, but not on this run of the GFS. Actually, the hottest of the temperatures indicated by those red colours are being pushed into France and then up to Germany, as these cooler yellow colours move in from off the Atlantic. So on this particular run of the GFS, actually will limit the heat potential at the end of next week. But it is threatening to do something very, very hot for this weekend of 28th, 29th of July. That's how the 29th of July looks. So we built the Azores high back in across England and Wales. Still low pressure out to the northwest of Scotland, keeping winds mainly from westerly direction. Look at the upper air temperatures. They are relatively cool, actually, especially for the north and the west in those yellow colours. The hot orange and red colours are covering most parts of the continent. So not as hot with this particular GFS run for the end of next week. It does start off very hot next week, of course. So beyond that, we go to day 10, and that's how we look. So again, limiting the heat potential more towards central east parts of Europe and southern Europe too. We remain in most slightly fresher Atlantic flows. As we go into extended range with this GFS run, so remains a bit changeable really, especially in the north and in the west. There'll be some rain up there at times. At times, warmth is still threatening into the south and the southeast in particular. So, for example, that's Friday the 3rd of July. If we look at the upper temperatures, that's how they look. And very hot air is again across Spain and France, just threatening southern and southeastern parts of the country. So even if the heat wave at the end of next week doesn't come off as bad intense, because of a pattern this summer, I think at any point really through the first half of August as well, we are probably at risk of bringing up some intense heat from France. So if we get away without pulling up sort of mid-30s Celsius type temperatures, I think we'll be very, very lucky really. At some point, I imagine, even if it's only briefly, we will get some very, very hot air moving up from France, just purely the way this summer has set up. So let's wait and see how that pans out. These are how the surface temperatures are looking with the 6 o'clock run of the GFS. Remember, these undercooked the temperatures by a few degrees. So that's tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, being forecast to be low 20 Celsius in most parts of the country. Actually, you can add on a few degrees to that. So for example, it's going from maximum in London of 25 degrees, but you can probably add 2 or 3 degrees onto that, with a maximum of maybe around 27 or 28 in London tomorrow afternoon. And most of these areas where we're in the low 20s will probably be in the mid-20s tomorrow. Then move through into Sunday, and Sunday is a hotter day, so widely across England and Wales we're going up to mid-20s Celsius, so add on 2 or 3 degrees, and for much of England and Wales we're going up to around 28 or 29. London is at 28, so you add on 2 or 3 degrees to that, you're probably getting close to 32, 90 Fahrenheit in London. Monday is an even hotter day, so widely across England and Wales we're up to 27 or 28. Again, add on 2 or 3 degrees, you're around 30, that's 86. And 1 or 2 places across the eastern parts of England I will think could get 32 or 33 degrees on Monday afternoon, that's 92 Fahrenheit. The far east of East Anglia just clings on to those very hot temperatures for Monday. So you'll see East Anglia is being suggested, and down to London, being suggested to be around 30 degrees there. So again, if you add on to that on Tuesday afternoon, could be up to 33, possibly 34 degrees across the far southeastern corner of the country. Most other places are kind of like mid-20s Celsius. This area here, where it's a bit cooler, that's probably being caused by heavy showers or maybe thunderstorms. But generally still very warm and quite humid really for England and Wales anyway on Tuesday. Wednesday is a slightly cooler day, although the southeast still looking very warm. Across East Anglia, southeast England, we're probably still up close to 30 degrees. Elsewhere, we're kind of like low to mid-20s Celsius. And then it's the second half of next week, the heat begins to build again across this eastern and southeastern side of the country. It's going to be a very warm, very hot week coming up next week in the southeast. It's just a question of how hot it's going to get. That's Friday next week, where the GFS is indicating somewhere across East Anglia or southeast England to be around 31. That's 88 Fahrenheit, but if you was to add around 3 degrees onto that, then you're getting close to 35. 35 is 95 Fahrenheit in the extreme southeast. Baking hot across East Anglia, southeast England. The heat is restricted though to that extreme southeastern corner. As we get to the Midlands and then westwards, actually it's not as hot as that, because remember we saw it on the charts I just showed you, but the real heat is actually being restricted just to our east at the end of next week. But the GFS is chopping and changing on that, and it could turn out that next week is hotter even than those temperatures are suggesting. Weekend of 28th and 29th 29th of July with these temperatures. Not too hot on this particular GFS run. It's going for low to mid 20s Celsius, which isn't too bad. But again, bear in mind this is changing run to run. I don't think we have yet established just how hot it is going to get through the second half of next week. Let's have a look at the ECMWF. So this is how things are looking on Monday with this ridge in across England Wales. Be a hot start to the coming week with temperatures into the low 30s Celsius in the south. That's Tuesday to Wednesday. So it turns a bit cooler out in the north and the west. But in the southeast, it still looks pretty warm to hot even then. And then into the second half of next week, that's how things are looking with the heat beginning to rebuild again across the country. We've got this ridge out to the east and also heights are building to the south. Notice that ECM is much weaker with this low pressure in the Atlantic compared to the GFS at the same time frame. At this time frame, the GFS wants to start to push those westerlies in, the 6 o'clock run of the GFS, whereas the ECM is still keeping us in mainly a hot southerly to southeasterly flow at the end of next week. We go into this weekend of 28th, 29th of July. There are the upper air temperatures and they do look really hot, especially for eastern and southeastern parts of the country. I reckon that would give temperatures probably into the mid 30s Celsius across southern and southeastern parts of the country. We go to day 10 and that's how we look. Gradually it looks like we're lowering height, so it's probably turning increasingly thundery then by the time we get to day 10, which is Monday the 30th of July. There's the upper air temperature still looking hot, perhaps the core of heat being shunted in towards the Low Countries and Germany. But to be honest, the ECM is keeping things pretty hot right way through to day 10. And then finally we've got the GEM. And that's how the GM looks for Monday. Again, we've got this ridge across England and Wales, so it will be hot to start the coming week. Then through Tuesday and Wednesday, a gradual cool down, although probably in the southeast we hang on to very warm temperatures even then. From kind of like Wales and Midlands northwards, it probably does cool down for a couple of days, Tuesday and Wednesday. But then we go through to Thursday and Friday, and this ridge is building to the east of the country with this low pressure being kept at bay around Iceland. It's a lot further northwest with this low pressure, the GM, which has us doing something like that with the jet stream. That's allowing real heat to push up from Spain and from North Africa as we get through to the end of next week. There's the upper air temperatures looking extremely hot across southeastern parts of the country and through Spain, France, into the Low Countries and Germany too. That's real heat wave type stuff. This is Saturday 28th of July. That's Sunday 29th of July. Both days looking very hot, really. The winds are in from an east to southeasterly directions. There's the upper air temperatures. They're hotter than any other model with the GM. And do bear in mind the GM is more unreliable than the GFS and the ECM. But there have been GFS runs that have been showing this kind of scenario for this weekend of 28th, 29th of July. If that comes off, then you're talking about temperatures sort of mid to potentially upper 30s Celsius there in the southeast. That's sort of very intense heat indeed, far too hot for most people. So still the potential is there for this weekend of 28th, 29th of July, Saturday 28th, Sunday 29th of July. The potential is still there for something really hot to take place, and the GM is just indicative of that. But various GFS runs over the past couple of days have been showing that as well. That's how we look at day 10, Monday the 30th of July. High pressure is increasingly moving northwards into Scandinavia, so now we are probably starting to pull in some slightly cooler, fresher air from off the Atlantic, although the upper air temperatures still look red hot. They still look roasting hot there across most parts of the UK and France as well. Rather an alarming run from the GM, particularly if you don't like hot weather, but I think that would be far too much for most people, actually, if that was to come off. Bear in mind, the GFS 6 o'clock run is quite a lot cooler than that for this weekend of the 28th, 29th of July. So it is still to be determined how hot it's going to be next week. It's going to be a very warm to hot week. We can say that definitively. It starts off hot across England and Wales on Monday, and that probably lasts in the extreme southeast to Tuesday. Otherwise, Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures probably back off a little bit by a few degrees, particularly so in the north and the west, but I think the east and southeast probably keeps it very warm even in that period. And then we're looking from Thursday onwards. Are we going to rebuild the heat? I think we will. How hot will it get? That is what is open to uncertainty. Potentially it could get exceptionally, dare I say it, record-breakingly hot, but that's a low probability scenario. More likely is that it's just going to be sort of standard UK heat, and then maybe thundery over that weekend of 29th of July. But we're going to have to keep monitoring this, because potentially it could get quite bad in around a week's time. So we're going to have to wait and see just how hot is going to get. And of course, we'll cover that in the week ahead forecast tomorrow. So week ahead forecast is coming up tomorrow. We'll also have a look at the weather for next week's 10 days. CFS 6 months look ahead, just for fun, coming up tomorrow evening, Saturday evening. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a Gazo Sunday roundup, and we'll have the long-range update from the ECOWF and Meteo France seasonal models as well. So big weekend of updates coming up. I hope you keep checking back for more. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.